Hi, aloha, and welcome to the Empowered Empath podcast. My name is Jennifer O'Neill.
And I'm Michelle Schneider. I want to give a friendly reminder that if you like today's podcast, please give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes, and today we are going to be talking about something that I think a lot of people are struggling with, and that is deconstructing your 3D beliefs or belief system, however you want to put that. I had a conversation with many clients. You yourself were talking about some things going on, and when we work within a fear-based mindset, when we work within a 3D belief system, I think that just makes navigating life a lot harder. And so I've noticed that recently people are really, really struggling with a new way to think, I guess I would say. I've talked a lot about reinventing who you are and reinventing your energy and starting to work with who you are if you do not have a physical identity. The reason that I've been talking about that with a lot of my clients is because your physical identity becomes who you are, in a sense that when I'm doing healings and when I'm working with clients and whatnot, I notice that people drag their physical identity with them that they've had since birth. And while I'm not telling everybody to go change their driver's license to like nothing, that's not exactly what I
When
mean.
you say physical identity, what are you referencing?
Good question. When people are born, they're born with an identity, you get a name, but it's more the belief system starts to become your identity. Okay. So as you go through all the years, you have all of these experiences that then start to form your belief system. And all of these experiences are constantly recalled through life. They are, I would say, it's not what entirely forms your belief system, which we'll get to in a minute. But you start to create this identity based upon past experiences. It becomes a part of who you are. And then you start to identify it with this is who you are. It's my character. I am who I am because of the things I've gone through in life. And my name is, Jennifer O'Neill or Michelle or whoever you are. You really start to embrace this version of yourself, which is what I call your physical identity, that is based upon past experiences. There is a huge issue with that I'm noticing moving forward. It's causing people to be stuck in current situations. It's causing them not to be able to move forward and create new things in life and become a better 2.0 version of who they are, because they're like, yeah, but this is also who I am. So I started this technique where I started having everybody let go mentally of their physical identity. And with that identity goes all the experiences you've had in life up until this point, because it's causing a lot of problems for people. It 100% causes problems with health, discord, your frequency, all the things. This is where I see the most problems lie. The brain is a memory bank. That's what it's designed for. It's also a processor. And so every day it's searching for experiences and things that have happened to you in the past so that it knows how to feel emotionally, and it begins to map. It maps these experiences. If you haven't had an experience before, it will create a new map. If you have, it goes to an old map that it's created that matched that feeling with an experience that you've had in your history. So it's trained to constantly go backwards, back into, well, when I did this, this happened, or when I was in this relationship, this happened, or when I did whatever. It's trained to go back there and go, yep, okay, met this new person, so it's going to go the same. And then it retrieves the information. It goes back to an old map in your brain, and it causes you to have a very similar emotion. This is also what happens when you start to feel overwhelmed, when you start to feel panicked about things, it can repeat over and over again. So for instance, also, a lot of people, the majority of people, go to bed at night and they go through the problems of the day or what that they're going to have to face tomorrow. So it starts creating a map with your emotional body, and it will then go, okay, well, we're struggling, or this happened or that happened. It creates these stress scenarios in the body. The cortisol levels are affected, the whole 9 yards. And then you wake up feeling anxious, or you wake up feeling anticipatory in a very tense way. And then your day goes accordingly, because when you are working with energy and how things create, your frequency is built upon tension and stress and worry. So therefore, you're going to experience all of those things, because your reality is really based upon your frequency. It's based upon your belief system. And when you have a belief system that is like feeling tense and overwhelmed, it's going to then form to create that reality. Then you go to bed again. And then you go, oh my gosh, then that happened today. And then I have to do more tomorrow. And then, or what if? What if that happens tomorrow? That could happen tomorrow. And then you just get into this again, brain's going, okay, this is what we do. We do this every night. We do this every morning. I know what to do. You don't have to even worry about it. It's on autopilot.
We're poisoning ourselves with our own thoughts.
Right. And so we just stay on autopilot, but we do it with experiences. We do it with scenarios. We do it with people. We do it with relationships. And unless you're conscientious about breaking the familiar mapping and the body emotionally engaging with that mapping the same way all the time, then we will continue to do the same thing all the time. And so this creates quite a problem. And so a lot of shifting this behavior and shifting this pattern is going to be deconstructing your 3D beliefs. What I mean by 3D beliefs is the beliefs that you have formed up until this point in your life based on past experiences or things that you've been told so many times over and over and over that you believe it to be true. A belief is just a thought that you think over and over again. That's all it is. It's not a fact. It's a belief. A fact is a fact. A belief is a belief. So you continue to take facts that happened in different scenarios and go, yeah, well, it happened here and it happened there. So definitely probably going to happen again if we have this scenario. The interesting thing is, because we're trained in fight or flight and survival, and to tell you the truth, I find more people in survival mode right now than I've ever seen since I've been doing any of this work. They're really surviving mentally. They're surviving life. We're not surviving a tiger, but we are surviving life. And so when it gets to that part, we go into the negative aspects of something so that we can, quote unquote, predict, I guess I would say, danger, and then try to avoid danger. So then you go into the what if. But the problem is most of the what ifs that you have experienced don't happen. And we are not living in a jungle with no shelter. So at some point, we need to be deconstructing our beliefs and understanding why that we're fearful and worried about so many things happening in life. But if you are and making decisions based upon that, if you're finding that you're in an automatic loop of something, the nighttime and morning routine, relationships, whatever that may be, work, I don't care what it, money, worrying about money, whatever that you're doing, if it seems to be repetitive, your brain and your body have mapped it together in a way that they will constantly recall the history, then put it into your life today, recall the history, put it in your life today. So we have to actively work on shifting that. And the thing about belief systems that I don't like is more people are taught from parents and I don't know, teachers, older people, how to be afraid of so many things, how to be fearful. And we're our worst critics. honest to God, we are the hardest on ourselves. And we will use all of our Rolodex of information called history to make sure that we show ourselves how hard that it could be. And this really doesn't do anybody any good because, like I said, then you're recreating this scenario over and over again. And so I think that it's really important for people to start fresh today and start realizing that most likely you've lived in a 3D belief system that has been being created for most of your lifetime. And you've attached a lot of your identity to that. And so then when it comes to, I want to shift this in my life or shift that in my life, instead of starting fresh from today and going, I want to become a new version of myself today. I want to start tomorrow. I want to start doing whatever it is. And how I tell people to do that is take the things that you don't like about yourself, the things that you feel, I don't know, ashamed of, or like just not happy about, or things that cause you the most anxiety. Take the things that you would like to shift if you just were reborn today and you said, I'm going to remake my adult self, and start working on those things, work towards those things. But when you add in your 3D identity, meaning who you've been your entire life, then you go, oh, I haven't shifted my money situation and my thought process of money for 30 some years, 40 some years. Like, how am I going to, that's 30, 40 years of history. How am I going to do that? It's 10 years of relationships. It's 20 years of being in a financial distress. Like, how do you just change that? Well, how about you pretend from today on that is the past you, and then you start just fresh today and go, what's my new version? Just like you were calling it up and making a new AI version of yourself. What would it look like? What would that look like to you? Because now we've released the weight of going, I have 10 years of history doing it this way. I have 20 years of history. Who gives a rat's patootie about how much history that you have invested in your 3D belief system, fears, worries, and experiences and characteristics? Who cares? If you can learn to go, I learned from all of those things that's not what I want to do anymore. So I'm going to leave that version over there, creating my new AI version of myself, my new 2.0. And in this version, in this half of my life, this is what I want to believe. This is what I want to do moving forward. And so I've actually done this myself. I don't teach anything I don't do. And I took the things that irritated me the most and I said, here's what I'm going to shift. Here's what I'm going to change. And those were the ones that I wanted to work on first. And so every day you're just like, it's a new day to restart over. It's a new day. This is amazing. Kind of like, what was that one movie? It'd be kind of like that. Is it 50 First Dates?
Oh, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, where she forgets and every day is.
You just start over every day. And if you screwed up, start over the next day and create who you want to be that day. Then we have to rid ourselves of the 3D belief system, which is based upon fear and worry. And how we do that is understanding a couple of things. One, 5% of what you see creates your entire reality. And that's not good, because what you see is based upon your belief. What you create, what becomes your reality is based upon what you see. And what you see is based upon 5% of existence.
Yeah.
So you are basically using such a very small portion of things and going, well, that's how it's going to turn out. I mean, this is just what it's going to be like. So there has to be a part of you that gets more in tune with source, with your inner self, and really feels your spiritual belief system, I guess, in a sense, feels your connection, feels the limitless possibilities, feels that how there's so many scenarios, so many different dimensions, so many different outcomes that you can't even wrap your brain around it. There's so many of them. And that there's a potential for many, many positive things to happen in your life, I would say throw out the damn 5%, get rid of it. Like, everybody else is working with the 5%. I want no part of that. Like, I really, really don't. And so, like, throw that out the window and start going, well, the other people that are living in a more positive mindset and positive life, they clearly know something that I don't know. Well, yes, they have a clue of the other 95% of how things work. They have a clue of energy. They have a clue of thought process. They have a clue of their own frequency, and understanding that there's something else happening that maybe they don't have complete knowledge of, but they know if they work with their thought process and their belief system in a certain way of having faith, then things are gonna work out. And I would say, if you have to grasp onto something, grasp onto, I have faith that there's something else going on in the universe that wants things to work out for me. I have faith that I don't have all the answers for the future outcome. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago, or yesterday. I change every day. Therefore, those experiences should not match my future outcome, because I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that frequency anymore. So that means that all my future outcomes should be different. All these potential possibilities should happen, because I will never be that frequency again unless you go back there, grab that frequency and that emotion of that experience and pull it into today. Then you are that version of yourself again. The more that you go back in history, the more that you go back to past experiences, the more that you go ahead and grab that version of who you were, no matter how much growth you've made, and you said, there she is, there he is, let's do this today again. Let's repeat this today again. Oh, yep, I feel the same. Oh, yep, probably going to have the same outcome. Probably. Yep, this feels familiar. Don't do that. Like,
yeah, it's funny because it's like I was doing that today, and it's like really something that I'm trying to be aware of. Like, when I start getting pulled into those negative cycles, I want to, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, stop, like, to really just pull myself out of it. And so I pulled a card earlier, and I was like, what can I do? I was like looking for some sort of guidance, and I pulled the card. It was the most perfect card, of course. And it was called Be Without Malice. And it says, yes.
Well, at least it wasn't stillness.
I know. There's another card that I keep pulling over and over again. I'll have to tell you about it later. But it's so Be Without Malice was the card that I pulled. And it was said that when you get hurt, you sort of get sucked into that cycle of feeling that sadness, but you need to learn from it, let it go, and truly to just, oh gosh, no, I forgot what I was going to say. It was to learn to let it go and to not let it become an infection, because that's what those thoughts are really going to do, because that can, affect your physical health as well.
Well, you just are basically keeping that old 3D reality alive is what you're doing. You're just keeping it, you're throwing fuel on the fire, you're keeping it burning, you're creating it to be a part of your life over and over and over again. And so here's the interesting trick that you could do is, if you start to feel crappy and start thinking about, like, well, is my money going to be like this? Is my relationship going to be like this? I want you to stop and think, do you have a historical experience that matches it? Whatever your fear is where is it coming from? Do you have something in your past that matches this fear? Most likely the answer is going to be yes. I would say 90% of the time there's going to be a past reference that's triggering this thought. You can go, yep, I remember when this business did this. I remember when I didn't have any money. I remember when this relationship had this issue. And that is an indication that you better stop what you're doing right now and throw that frequency back where it was. and go, you know what? But I was different then. I was in a different mindset. I was in a different situation. That was not who I am today. And you can even take that a step further and go, do I feel the same? Am I the same person I was during that time frame? Let me ask you, do you feel like you are the same person you were?
No, I feel like I'm so different now.
Right. And that wasn't even that long ago.
I know, which is the crazy part.
That's my point, though. Like, you're never the same. You're constantly evolving. So now the other 10% of the time, if you're like, I mean, it's like moms always worry about things happening to their children or something like that. And maybe nothing's ever happened to your children. Maybe something has, or maybe something hasn't. Then you might be looking at a past life emotion and a past life identity that is triggering during this lifetime. But if you can't find it in a this lifetime experience, if it's a negative one, you most likely are pulling it from a past life trauma or experience into this lifetime. Because the probability of you being able to predict a lot of your own future repeating itself is, I mean, if you were just clear, clean slate, like clean slate, no attachment to, you were just born yesterday and you have zero history, you're not going to be able to dictate with a very good frame of reference any bad things happening. Like if you were just clean slate, born an adult, maybe you had amnesia, whatever, and now you just opened your eyes and now you're new. You're not going to be able to be afraid of scenarios unfolding in your relationship or scenarios unfolding in your money in the same way that you are today. What if you just had amnesia, woke up today and you had like $2 million in the bank, like, or $3 million in the bank, and you were happily married and, you know, you didn't really have to work because you set up a retirement? What are you going to worry about? Well, you know what the weird thing is? If you had a history of remembering who you were, you would still worry about stuff. As weird as that is, you would. What if I lose that money? What if I been through it? What if the stock market crashes? What if the economy goes south? What if my husband has an affair? What if? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But you would. It's just natural human 3D beliefs. You start to see all these things that are scary, other people's marriages breaking up, all the economies happening, all the things, and you go, oh my gosh, I don't want that to happen. What if? How about you don't live there anymore? And how about you, again, strip your 3D identity and belief system and become who you are on a soul level? And when you strip yourself of those beliefs and those experiences and you go to your heart and feel all the possibilities of everything you can accomplish in this day, feel all the love that you could acquire in your life, feel all the opportunity, feel all the money, feel all the abundance, feel the universal energy, feel the possibilities, feel the other dimensions, feel all the things that you cannot visually see. Okay, now we're working with something. Now we are working with something that the majority of the people do not work with. But don't tell your friends about it, because they will be like, you are not thinking along our belief system and we're uncomfortable about this. We don't like this. Then they're like thinking you're unrealistic. But does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, don't be, completely delusional. But like,
As far as what?
I don't know. It's just like, well, you always hear those things of like, if you're trying to manifest a lot of money, and you're trying to think like a millionaire, but don't go around telling people that I'm a millionaire. I feel like there was an example of somebody doing this, and where they were trying to manifest becoming like a New York Times bestseller, but then they were telling people that they were a New York Times bestseller, and it was like that was kind of an issue.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm saying reinvent your identity.
Yeah.
Don't like lie about your identity.
That's
Those are,
what I meant.
I mean, good disclosure, I guess, but that's not what I was thinking. But yes, you don't want to lie about your identity. There is a line there. If you're, or don't assume somebody else's identity. There's that.
Yeah.
um, it's just becoming a better version of who you are and understanding that the version who you are today is based upon your history. And every day, your brain is going to go to your history and it's trained to go to the worst case scenarios because we are wired for survival and everybody's in survival mode right now. And so when you're constantly on the edge of overwhelm and anxiety, this is what triggers you to be in survival mode. And most people I know are on the edge of overwhelm and anxiety. And I'm talking all kinds of people. I don't care if you're retired. I don't care if you're in high school. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're the breadwinner. There's so your job, your career, your gender doesn't dictate the overwhelm and the anxiousness. It's non-discriminatory, we'll just say.
Yeah.
So it's just being self-aware enough to realize that a lot of your fears and worries never, again, they've never happened. They're based upon past experience. And one of the ways that I trained myself out of this, because because there'd be situations where I was paying something on the first or doing whatever. And I think I've talked about this before, but I got into this pattern where I was just like making myself sick when I had to deal with money or this or that. And I thought, I don't want to, first of all, I can't live this way. Second of all, I don't want to live this way. This is terrible. And third of all, how the heck did I get here? How did this happen? So I had to deconstruct. I had to deconstruct my 3D belief system, which was I was deconstructing how I got to this point. How did this belief of me on the first paying these things happen? Like at some point in this particular business I'm thinking of, it was never a thing because it was never a business. So how did I get here? What happened? And I started realizing kind of how it came. It came from shuffling money. It came from having a new business. It came from all of these things. And then it came from, I really enjoyed the business. So because I had to shuffle money in a new business, which is not uncommon, it was like, what if I lost this business? And that was very scary to me. So I felt this constant fear of worrying about that. And I thought about it and I thought, you know what? Was it always easy? No, wasn't always easy. Did I have to shuffle things around? Yes, absolutely. But did my biggest fear ever come true? Not one time. Not one time. Not even close. I didn't even come close to it happening. But yet it was still a reoccurring thing. And then once I realized I've been doing this for 2 years, 24 months, 2 years, every single month, I was like, oh, no. I'm over this belief system I've created for myself. New version, clean slate, start today, physical identity, no longer, no, this is not mapping for me. And the way I remapped that is I was just like, it's never happened. It's always been fine. We're actually in a better place than we've ever been in. We were a new business. Of course that was going to happen. And so then I went so far as to, I'm just going to imagine and feel like it's just getting better every month. It's just going to feel like I had to rewire it to where I was, instead of, I know I'm tripping over this, but let me go back for a minute. The night before I would do it, I would like start stressing out and I'm like, oh my God, tomorrow, and I'm going to have to do this. And it's going to be like, I'm so tense about it. And then I knew I was going to be in bad mood and I knew it was going to take a lot of time and I know I was going to have to, and I thought, what if, this is the what if in a good way, not in the weird way. What if, how about tomorrow, how about I just have more money than I thought I did in that account? That'd be cool. And what if it just didn't take me very long? And I swear to God, I'm not even joking. That next day, there was more money than I had thought that was in that account by not like by $200, by like a couple thousand. And I was like, wow, that was a pleasant experience. Wow, that actually went really fast. And so then it gave me a new frame of reference. It gave me a new belief that I do not feel like attaches at all to the 3D belief system. It gave me faith in me shifting my mindset and going, I could feel myself gravitating towards possibilities. I could feel myself gravitating towards, I don't care if you threw me in another dimension. I don't care I don't care what you did, but it felt better over there in another space. So then the next month came and I thought, ooh, this is going to be interesting. Last month it went like this. So what if it does the same thing? And every single month since then, same thing has happened. I've had more money than I've expected every single time. And it's gone very quickly. It's gotten to the point where now it's not even a thing anymore. I don't even think about it. I actually, the last month, I was like, oh, I'm kind of excited to see like if this is continuing to happen because this is pretty cool. So yeah, it takes some time. It takes some deconstructing. It takes some reprogramming, and you can get there. But I use that example in other aspects of my life. If I start to feel a memory recall, if I start to feel tense, if I start to feel upset, I go, where is this? Where's this coming from? And even if it's in the moment, I will be like, how fast can I get rid of this? Like for real, how fast? Because I'm not holding on to this for very long. Like, even if you're like, you can get in arguments with people or disagreements, especially if you're married or whatever. And my new system is how fast can I just let it go? Because I'm like challenging myself. Can I let it go in 10 minutes? Like, can I let it go in 30 minutes? Like, I'm not going to keep this all day. And I sure as heck am not keeping it into tomorrow. So I challenged myself to go, how fast can I just be like, who cares? Who cares who said what? Who cares who said the last thing? Who cares? Who cares? Out, done. Let's move on with our day and get over it. And then I'll just distract myself and I'll just be like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about something else and get things back on track to feel like they're flowing properly. So that was a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
But hopefully helpful, because I think awareness just is really the key, because in the moment that you know that you're going into those little spirals is the moment
Mhm.
that you can pull yourself out. And that's what I've been trying to be very mindful of, because I know how it does affect my health. And I think back to like how bad I was. Gosh, what was it? Was it over a year ago?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, like a little over a year ago, and just how miserable I was. And I've never dealt with anxiety to that level. And now I've got such peace in my body. Like I don't even remember what it was like to
So
go
then
through.
sometimes you get to that place where you're like, I feel so peaceful. Oh my gosh, what if that happens again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it can't, because you're not the same person. So
Yeah.
unless you decide to pull it from your past and park it in your today, it's not going to happen that same way ever again.
Yeah.
You learn from it, you grew from it, your frequency is different, you're going to draw different people into your life. Yeah.
And I felt like I've learned so much too, that if I did start to get a hint,
Derailed.
a
Yeah.
sniff
Mhm.
of that anxiety, that I would totally be aware and of it.
Yeah, more aware
Versus,
of the sign. But
yeah.
even like I just said, I mean, if I think that if you can't, don't you think if you, when you start feeling that way and you go, where does this belong? Is it back here? You can just go, yeah, that's not this is not Michelle 2.0. This is like old version. And a lot of other things belong to her that do not belong here in my current, you know?
Yeah, and I do it too. Like if there's a little bit of inflammation in my body, I'm like, okay, well, where is this coming from? Because I know that this didn't just pop up for no reason. So,
Oh, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Like if I start feeling off, if I get a scratchy throat, if I'm feeling like I'm more tense than normal. What I mean by that is like my hips are tighter or my legs feel tighter, stiffer. I'm more stiff or whatever because I stretch a lot. Or like you have a kink in your back or your neck. Um, I just am not wired like everybody else. I don't go to, was I sleeping wrong? I go to, what am I doing to cause myself discord? What emotions am I holding on to cause myself discord? What am I not letting go of? What am I stressing about? What am I tensing about? Like that's got to go. And then I just make adjustments to whatever it is I'm forcing myself to do that I'm not in love with. Because that's a biggie. That's a big thing for a lot of people when they're tensing, and their shoulders are tensing, and their back's tensing, their neck, headaches, things of that nature. They're usually forcing themselves to work with, within an environment like work related that maybe they hate or they're not enjoying, or maybe they're forcing themselves to do something for somebody they're not enjoying. Like they're forcing themselves to do things they're begrudgingly doing. So I've trained myself to look for that, because we want to please people and we want to have love in our life and we want to help others. But especially when you're empathic, you have to be really careful of that, because we will overcommit ourselves and think that nobody else is adulting in life, that they're all just running around, going, what do I do? So, and even if they are running around, what are they doing? If they need to adult at some point in time, that's their responsibility. So you just say, sit down, figure it out, point them in a direction to calm it down, but you don't solve it for them. So anyways, do you have any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, make sure to let us know. And you want to...
Yeah, I would say if you did have any questions, you can always leave those in the comments, and then be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't.
Yes. And don't forget to look for the energy reports, because we have been trying to do those at the beginning of the month. And so just a reminder, because the energy is always like shifting and changing. And I know it's a little crazy right now. So there's that. So, all right. Until next time, have the most amazing day. Aloha. Bye.
Bye.